The deaths of Colonel Manpreet Singh and Major Ashish Dhonchak of the 19 Rashtriya Rifles has placed millions of us at an emotional peak. Feelings of anger, helplessness, confusion, bitterness, a search for answers that are beyond reach because the Anantnag operation, as you saw, is still in progress on day 3. But I did want to address a question I've been getting more than any other over the last 48 hours. And that's, what next for the 19 Rashtriya Rifles? What will they do? This for me is a very crucial question because it made me search for an answer. I spoke to a handful of former army battalion commanders, including some who've led Rashtriya Rifle units in the Kashmir Valley, very much like the 19 Rashtriya Rifles to which Manpreet and Ashish belonged. At this time, the 19 Rashtriya Rifles has no time for contemplation, hindsight, forget about rest. The active hunt for the terrorists is still on, and until the operation is completed, the unit remains on its feet. But this isn't any operation. Ask any army soldier or officer and they'll tell you this. Someone killing or even injuring your commanding officer is doing the equivalent of harming or killing your father. In an army unit, the commanding officer, in this case Colonel Manpreet Singh, is a father figure in a way that goes beyond the way you or I use that phrase. It is from him, Colonel Manpreet Singh, that flows the strength of the unit, its purpose, its dynamic, its sense of fraternity, everything. It would be an understatement to say that morale in the 19 Rashtriya Rifles unit would have taken a hit. Of course it's taken a hit. Of course people are upset in the unit. But not for a moment does that mean it has slowed them down. On the contrary, it would have galvanized them to complete this immediate operation as quickly as possible, as cleanly as possible, so that Colonel Manpreet Singh's death is not in vain. But what about revenge? Is there anything called badla at the unit level in the army? 2 of the terrorists in this encounter are Pakistani nationals, which means someone sent them across from the other side of the line of control. At this time, the 19 Rashtriya Rifles is immersed in the Anantnag hunt. But once it's over, officers I spoke to say their will for retribution remains. The will for retribution remains at the back of the mind of every man in the unit. That if someone sitting in POK or Pakistan could carefully help plan such an encounter, then they must be responded to at a time and place of the 19 RR's choosing. All of this is exponentially easier said than done. And we must always look at the bigger picture of how to stop terror in the first place, instead of just revenge at the unit level. But at this time, it will be difficult to do anything at all. The operation is in the hinterland. It is unlikely that intelligence resources have turned their gaze just yet at the source of these terrorists. But this will remain at the back of their minds, and it will remain there because in the food chain of forward areas, retribution at the tactical unit level is like an honor code. It's like a ghost that walks with you. The death of a commanding officer has most definitely strengthened their resolve to strike back. But at this time, there are too many variables in the Kashmiri hinterland. Any retribution, any badla, any revenge will require a great deal of planning and sound intelligence. These are humans we're talking about, not robots. They need closure. There's a chance no direct retribution may happen at all. But at the back of their minds, each man in 19 Rashtriya Rifles will hope that the opportunity for retribution presents itself. This isn't badla in the Bollywood way, or the way you and I probably process and understand it. Retribution isn't just about revenge. It's also a message. It's also about morale. It's also about closure and the ability to move on in every sense. All we can do is wish the 19 Rashtriya Rifles safe operations and happy hunting.